Hello and welcome to One on One. I'm Vern Ramsey and I'm pleased to say my guest today is the President of the National Carnival Development Foundation, Mahindra Satram-Maharaj. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much indeed, Vernon.
Now, I wanted you on because recently you've, of course, issued a release concerning the NCC's discussions about Ebola and the possibility of having consultations about it. But before we get to that, in case people don't know what the NCDF is, and you've been in the news over the last few years, certainly, perhaps you might want to explain to people the context of the NCDF.
NCDF is an NGO that was formed since in 2000, and it comprised of 11 of the 12 large bands in Port of Spain and about over 400 mass practitioners outside of Port of Spain. We look at mass as a business. We do not look at mass as culture, because we are of the view that Carnival is 175 years old in 2014. So there is nothing to develop as it relates to our culture. At the same time, when we recognize that most mass practitioners, when Ash Wednesday come, they're in either a break-even or a loss position. So that our focus at the NCDF is to ensure all mass practitioners operate as a business and as a successful one too. Because at the end of the day, during Carnival, the people who benefit most out of those mass practitioners' creativity is the business. The hotels, the taxis, the restaurants, and so on. The airlines, and so on. But the mass practitioners end up in loss position.
Now, of course, we've long had the NCC and the NCBA, but I know certainly when it comes to the NCC, your organization has some concerns about the way Carnival is run, has been run, and presumably will also be run this coming year. What are some of the differences of opinion that you would have with the NCC?
Well, let me just make it very clear, and this is not a position that is new, and this is a position that has been building over the years with the NCC. As far as we are concerned, the NCC has outlived its usefulness. It is no longer relevant to what we consider to be mass today. In fact, when you look at the last 10, 15 years, that body seems to be taking giant steps backward, supposedly on the way forward. So that, we at the NCDF, is not going to be wasting time looking to protest with the NCC and protest and protest. The only solution is to do it ourselves.
But the problem is that you and your members have to deal with things like the routes that the NCC puts forward, and things like that. And I've had many NCC guests on this program over the years, and every time I come on, I say, well, what happens on Ash Wednesday? They say we start planning for Carnival the next year. And yet every year when Carnival's a month away, the routes start changing and all kinds of things are going to flux at that point. Yeah. That's not how you run a business, really.
Exactly, and that is our problem with the NCC and or whoever they put there, because their vision is wrong, their approach is wrong. We have written to the Prime Minister just after Carnival 2014, indicating to the Prime Minister and the government that there is indeed a need for a new paradigm in Carnival, a 5-point strategic action plan that we have recommended to the government. And let me just very quickly indicate to you those 5 areas. The first is the greening of Carnival costuming. And when I use the term greening, it also means environmentally friendly materials. We have just completed a baseline study on the effects of the conventional costuming materials on the environment. And the report is not that which is comfortable for the environment.
And this is material that's brought in from overseas,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. So that we are looking at green in Carnival, and this is one of the the strategic action plan, the 5 points that we have given to the Prime Minister. The second one has to do with consolidating the regional carnivals. I want you to understand, Vernon, as we speak, there are 53 regional carnivals in Trinidad and Tobago. And Port of Spain is one of the 53, which means that there are 52 others. And we are supposed to be looking at developing Carnival sustainably with 53 entities, plus, including Port of Spain, Yet, what is allocated to the regional carnivals is a mere 7 or 10 million. In fact, prior to 2 years ago, it was 7 million for about 4 or 5 years.
But it has increased under this administration, as far as I know.
It has increased to, last year to 14, and this year to just below 20 million. The point I'm trying to raise, 20 million to 52 regional carnivals says nothing. In fact, when you look at it, what, if any at all, trickles down to the mass practitioner? Who is the one responsible for having that spectacle? Nothing goes to the mass practitioner. So that one of the strategic action points that we have recommended to the government and the Prime Minister is the consolidation of the regional carnivals so that you can have what you'd call locally global carnival zones or global zones. You know, possibly we could use the regional corporation concept, the local government concept in terms of the regional corporation.
So if you have 3 or 4 towns that currently have a carnival,
you know, they can meet in one area.
Right.
You understand? So that you could have, you could be able to sustainably develop it, you know, with corporate and private sector region.
And it's also easier to focus on fewer.
Indeed,
Right.
indeed. Also, one of the things that we are looking at is the global branding and marketing of our festival. I mean, we have never done anything to globally brand. I mean, whatever you see outside there is because of the work of the individual mass practitioners themselves. And indeed, because of the diaspora. You know, our diaspora want to ensure that they live their life, a Trini life, abroad, and they start their own carnivals and so on. But it is not as a result of Trinidad and Tobago looking to globally brand this. Let's face it, Vernon.
But what's the advantage of globally branding it? I mean, we're already packed to capacity every carnival. We don't have enough hotel rooms to accommodate the number of visitors who want to come. Our airlift isn't all that great. So if we globally brand it, we're not going to attract any more people because they can't. We have no room for them.
You know, Vernon.
Maybe I'm thinking small.
Yeah, you are, and it is a reactive approach, and you're not singular in that. Every year we boast that we have 40,000 persons come to our carnival. It's a big thing. Yet there are about 6-7 billion people in the world. 1, 2. Of course we do have enough room stock. Was it a problem for the Summit of the Americas? It wasn't. You get cruise ships. In fact, there are cruise companies that are prepared to have, it's called floating hotels. And we can do that, and there's so much business that can be generated out of that concept. But, you know, that's again, it is a very easy solution.
So you're looking at an integrated approach. In addition to globally branding it,
Yes.
you want to also put in place measures that we can add capacity for hotels.
Well, to achieve this objective, we have to
Right.
do this.
Right.
You understand? Also, we have to look at the restructuring itself of the two-day parade. Come on, you said it, Vernon. Every year is the same khaki pants with regard to the problems of managing the event. And I mean, you know, we are the people, we're highly tolerant, you know, to allow this thing to be taking place every year. And it shows the disregard for the creativity and the professionalism of a sector that has been taken advantage of historically, have been abused.
Well, we've seen some new initiatives. Last year we had a 2-stage concept. I'm not sure how well that worked in terms of your membership.
But it wasn't a 2-stage concept. It was an approach by a couple of my members to ease the gridlock. Well, let's put it this way. I mean,
Speaking as someone who's been stuck for 4 hours at a time.
Sure. Let me be honest with you. You'll always have a gridlock in Port of Spain Carnival as long as you make the Savannah a compulsory venue. I mean, you do not need a professorship to determine that. If you have 5 or 4 competition venues, and the Savannah is one of those that is compulsory, it means everybody goes there.
And the streets aren't getting any bigger.
Right. And there's a funnel effect.
But there's also, the band members themselves want to cross the Savannah stage, don't they?
And there's nothing wrong
When we
with that.
didn't have one, there was a great outcry against
Yeah,
it.
but let me explain. I mean, there is nothing wrong with the Savannah stage. Do not make it compulsory from a judging perspective. 1, 2. Understand that there are 4 other venues. try to lift, not try, but lift the standards in the 4 other venues. For instance,
Well, how about a system where we have, as long as you visit 3 out of, let's say, 5 venues,
yeah,
you're good?
Exactly.
Could be any 3.
And that is what
right.
we have told them. The NCDF have repeatedly told them, do not make the Savannah compulsory and any 3 venues.
Is that because the NCC wants to make money off of the Savannah venue itself?
Sorry, Vernon, God alone knows.
Okay, well, I guess I'm asking you to answer the question. Yes.
Because I wouldn't venture. I may have an answer that may not good for your television audience. But the point I'm trying to raise is that it is a very simple solution. Very simple, because it has proven to be successful. Once you do, I mean, when you look at the Savannah as we speak, on a Carnival Monday and Tuesday, on Monday you may see between 18 to 30 persons in the stands. Don't call me a liar if it's 35.
No, I'm there, so I can tell you.
Right.
Yeah, it's not very
Then
many.
you see on Carnival Tuesday, you may see a 50 or 100 persons in the stand. Now look at the investment put into that for 30, 40, even 100 persons. So that this whole.
But that part of Carnival has changed. There was a time when people would flock to the Savannah to sit in the stands and watch. But that changed quite a while ago.
And that tells me the insensitivity, the lack of vision of the people who are governing Carnival. Carnival is no longer a spectator festival. It is an experiential mass. The generation, the population today wants to be part of it. They're on the road, they're on the route. They want to experience it live, not to sit and spectate.
I can see you're not wrong in that one, because I've noticed, even myself over the years, rather than sit down and watch the bands cross, you walk around and find the bands that you like. So you see them on the road.
So that, Vernon, the governance structure needs to be aware of what's going on. They need to have their pulse and recognize. We have to develop systems, and this we've been telling them for a number of years, and that is why you find that the NCDF is not focusing on the NCC. We do it, we have a relationship with them because they're the governing body. Outside of that, we would not go waste our time.
You have some other points, and I know you want to
Well, I
mention
just
them.
wanted to mention that one of the
The
last point in the strategic action plan is the development of the Carnival Entertainment Complex. The Carnival Entertainment Complex in Frederick Settlement, which we have proposed and so on, and very much, in thing with this administration, which is a cry that the people have been talking for historically. I recall in the last administration, the former Prime Minister, said that if you want a venue for this thing, get your own. And when you look at it realistically, from Cedros to Port of Spain, there is no proper place for the launching of a mass band. Most of it is in the West Trinidad, and which leads to a traffic quagmire and so on. It's not a good security scenario. But yet we know this for years. So that the Carnival Entertainment Complex will have a whole heap of strategic business units.
And I guess if you do a complex like that, you also monetize Carnival throughout the year.
363 days of the year.
Because right now it's very concentrated.
Yes. Yeah. You will have parade of bands 363 days of the year within that complex, and it also will cater for things like the other aspects of our national culture, like Ram Leela and Tobago Festival, and all of these things will be part of it. And because it is centrally located, it would not pose a problem for traffic and so on, kind of thing.
Tell that to Diwali Nagar. There's traffic there, and that's in Central too.
Well, and the reason for I'm not going to get involved in Diwali Nagar's situation, but what was planned for where it is proposed is a situation where there is egress in 4 directions: east, west, north, and south. Entrance and egress east, west, north, and south, so that there is no.
So you take the pressure off.
Exactly.
Now, for people who think you're just talking, you showed me, I was going to say comprehensive, it's a rather staggeringly complex list of projects that the NCDF is undertaking. Perhaps you might let us know about a few of them. Sure.
I should mention to you, as I said, the NCDF is not waiting to get things done. And that has been, if you look at the history of Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago and the governance of Carnival, activities only take place a month and a half before Carnival. And yet, mass practitioners have a lot to do before to bring out their presentations and so on. So we have, for instance, we have developed standards and quality criteria for mass. Why? Let me see if I can explain that a little bit. As we speak, we have our members, a lot of our mass practitioners who train people how to make mass. When the training is finished, they get a certificate, the trainees. But my members who are doing the training have no certificate.
Also,
So-
the trainers don't have a certificate.
Yeah,
The trainees get one. Okay.
Yeah, and the trainers don't have a certificate, so they cannot sell their expertise outside. So what we have done is develop a set of standards and so on, working with the NTA and their PLAR approach, so that we could certify all these mass
So you'll be an
practitioners.
accrediting body
That's right.
as well. Okay.
Certify them so that they now will have certification as a wire bender, a costume maker, whatever it is, so that they can afford to sell their services outside of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the main focus of the NCDF.
Now, Mahindra, you mentioned it a while ago. It's often puzzled me, because I've heard a lot of mass band leaders say this, that we barely break even. And to me, as a normal person who doesn't put out a mass band, if I have 1,000, 2,000 people giving me $5,000, or well, let's say $3,000 for a costume, how can I not break even?
Sure.
I should be rolling in dough. And I think a lot of people, the perception is that they're just saying that, but they're rolling in dough.
Okay, let me clear your mind and
All the other cynical people out there. Yeah.
That's cynical. Your television audience who may have similar thinking.
Right. Because if you're saying Carnival is a business, then it should be running on business principles.
Sure. You just said it. Carnival, and the first thing you equate Carnival is the 10 or the 11 large bands.
Right.
Yet you forget that there are 52 other regional carnivals outside of Port of Spain. 1, 2.
Those are the labor of love carnivals.
Well, let's put it this
They're
way.
not bringing in 1,000 members to jump up, right?
So then let's focus on Carnival as against the 10 mass bands. And let me be honest with you.
The 10 big ones are making money, though, I presume.
Well,
Otherwise,
let me correct that fallacy. We have quite a number of the large bands who, don't make the money as you think they make. And let me be very practical.
but they're covering their costs.
Well, yes, but is that the purpose of the business? Let's look at certain realities. It costs between $40,000 to $60,000 a day for one DJ, one disc jockey truck on the road. It costs between $80,000 and $120,000 for one music truck on the road. In fact, it may go up to $140,000 per day. Somebody has to pay for it. Let's put it another way. The importation of raw materials is plus 35% duty. Somebody has to pay for that. I must tell you though, however, this
Some of these bands
administration...
are actually wholesale just bringing in the costume.
Yeah, but no, well, exactly.
Yeah.
No, one has to understand that this administration has been very accommodating, and because of our insistence, the NCDF insistence, that they've agreed to zero rate quite a number of the carnival materials, and we cannot be insensitive to that. Thirdly, let's look at this thing called security. Most bands have between 350 to 700 security stewards in their bands. It costs between $450 to $700 per security steward per day. Who's to pay for that?
How many did you say? 300 to 700
Security stewards.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
For a band like Tribe, for example, they would have...
Excuse me. Let me tell you something. Most of the bands, and this is where it is, I have a problem with those people who are looking after the governance of Carnival. Most of the large bands, when you play in the band, you don't purchase a costume. You purchase an experience.
It's basically an all-day fete you're buying.
Exactly,
Right.
and comfort that goes with it. And a part of that comfort is security.
But again, you're a business person. If we're running on business principles and you're running a mass band, you're running a business, then you look at all your costs of production, including security, including whatever, including trucks and that. Then you add your markup to that, and therefore you should be coming out ahead.
And that is cool. That is the ideal.
Right.
But there's a whole heap of other variables that we have to look at, bearing in mind that somebody made a statement, a very alarmist statement about Ebola.
Yes, I'm
You understand?
You segued and I didn't have to. So I have here a press release.
A very alarmist statement about
You
Ebola.
used the word alarmist, and it was that person, in fact, you say was chairman of the NCC, Alison Damas,
Yes.
who's saying that there should be some consultation about how we deal with Carnival, and there was the idea of postponing or, I guess, calling off Carnival was also brought up at that point. You're not of that view.
Hear me. Ebola is in fact something is of concern, not because of Carnival, but for in any scenario, as a nation, we have to look at it. It has nothing. It is not specific for Carnival. I mean, let's put it this way: there's Diwali coming up. There's gatherings of people. There are visitors coming in. There's Christmas. There's a whole heap of people coming in. So that it is not a question related to Carnival. And the problem when you equate Ebola with Carnival 2015, in this day and age of technology, where you have a negative picture already being painted outside there for those mass practitioners who depend on foreigners.
The negative thing about crime and things like that, is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, well, let's put it this way. Why would I want to play mass? Or if I live in Portugal and I play mass in Trinidad, but this thing with Ebola, look, let me hold up in registering. My point is that from a Carnival perspective, Ebola is just as serious as crime. Like any other situation, and there are people to deal with that, but it shouldn't be equated to Carnival. And that alarmist approach is what is causing.
But it's not being equated to Carnival. People are saying, listen, from a public health perspective, I'm just speaking devil's advocate.
Sure,
here.
sure.
From a public health perspective, when there's an outbreak of anything, you try and mitigate risk.
Sure.
If you've got one occasion, which can be postponed or cancelled, I guess, in which the vast majority of people come at that period, then why would you not look at that as a potential for mitigating risk?
Oh, that's in order. Not in an alarmist manner.
Because you mentioned Diwali, you mentioned
Exactly.
Christmas, but people don't whine against each other and jump up and down,
Let me be a bit more practical.
sweating.
Let me be a little bit more practical. Last Thursday, I was at a function, and in the presence of other people, the vice chairman of NCC told me that he never knew anything about that statement that was made, and he's vice chairman. No, did it come to his board? He mentioned that in the presence of other people. From the press release, you would have seen that I spoke to the minister.
Yes?
And, you know, without wanting to misquote the minister, the statement made, you know, should have come, it's what you call a political statement. And that should be made by the politicians after they have weighed the scenario. Ebola is an issue, like anything else. But it should have been discussed internally and deal with, have conversations and so on, and then you make a statement. But when you deal with it now...
It's interesting the way you're putting it there, because you're saying because this came from the NCC, it's now associated with Carnival. You're saying it's a public health issue.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health or National Security decided, listen, we have to do something, then that's very different.
That's in order.
Okay.
But when you have the chairman,
Now I understand you.
the chairman of the NCC telling the world, here, think before you register for mass in Trinidad for 2015. I'm being very candid with you. I have had tremendous feedback from my members, not only in Port of Spain, but outside of Port of Spain, that people who would normally play with them or who, you know, they're holding up. Now, this is a business we're supposed to run. And we have to ask ourselves, are you part of the problem or part of the solution? Because you want to make a statement. I mean, let that statement come from the minister after he would have played his role as a minister and dealing with his cabinet and his colleagues
Then
and
it's
so
a
on.
government position,
Yeah.
and the government saying we're looking after our people by doing this, as opposed to a Carnival stakeholder.
Yeah, the alarmist manner in which it was done. And hear me, let's just say the government comes up after the investigations and so on, because it's a serious issue. This Ebola is a serious thing. But the manner in which you bring it across is, you know, is what is causing, you know, a negative economic effect, not only to mass practitioners, but to this country. Because Carnival and mass in particular plays has a major positive effect on the economy of this country. After oil, it's the creative sector. Carnival is a major player in the creative sector. When I say after oil, I mean after energy. And we have to understand this, that when you're making statements and you're in such positions to make statements that has effect, global, negative effects about the mass practitioner in Maruga and the mass practitioner in Toko, who's making every effort to make $1 for an expertise and a skill that they've been abused over the years for, under this guise of love of culture. It's not fair. One has to understand. I mean, okay, so let's say the government decides at some point in time after consultation, because this is something you have to monitor on a daily basis.
We have about a minute left, just to give you a heads up there.
Let me just mention to you,
Yeah.
We just had Carnival last weekend in Miami. There was no issue there. But we'll have to wait 24, 28 days to see if there's any followed. But then you don't jump to such conclusions now because it is alarmist. And I want to let you know fully well that what we are saying, should that situation arise, the government must put in place a financial mechanism to counteract that fallout for all mass practitioners.
Because investments have already been made.
Indeed.
Now, just as we go, I know you have some serious problems with the NCC. Do you foresee in the future, or would you like to see in the future, the NCDF be the replacement for the NCC?
Well, let's put it this way. We have the expertise. It's not a question we want to replace the NCC.
You think you're best positioned to?
Because of the work that we are doing and so on. What we are saying also is that there is indeed a definite need for a new paradigm that must have the involvement of private sector and experts within the creative sector and the relevant government ministries, and not just one ministry.
Mahindra Satram-Maharaj, President of the NCDF. It's been a pleasure having you in the program, and I certainly do admire your enthusiasm. Thanks for the work that you're doing.
My pleasure indeed.
Thank you very much. You've been watching One on One. Join us again tomorrow for another edition.